Hey guys, Kamikaze with part 5 of my Lightseekers Kindred deck overview slash review. Today we're going to go over techs, Robotic Rumble. So this has Gadox the Reckless. On the website, as usual, all the decks are there, so if you want to read a little bit about them, they show off a little bit about the character, talk a little bit about his health and his superiority, and then gives a little bit of backstory lore, talks about one of the major cards that they think in the deck, Repair Bot, and then the deck list, as usual. And as usual, again, I made my own little cheat sheet. So if you're a new player, you don't understand some cards, or if you're an old player and you just want to get a quick look at what all the cards do, here it is. So let's go to Gadex, the Reckless. He has 30 health, so a little under average. Usually the Kindred heroes have like 31, but his abilities deal 3 damage to your target if you have a combo buff in play. And he's superior in explosive. So superiority in explosive means 10 explosive cards. So, average, he's able to play 2 explosives at a time. We'll go through the explosives in a bit, but let's go over the ability. If you have a combo buff in play, so without even looking at what the combos do, we see that 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are combo buffs. So it's really good. You're able to get this off pretty well. Especially 2 out of 4 of the combo buffs are 4 turn. Contra Bubble is like the exception because it's a clunky one. So, and then Smart Bomb has 3. So you're able to constantly practice off over and over. For example, you can just leave Contra Bubble on the board, and for 1 action per turn, you're always able to ping 3, which I think is pretty strong. It's up to you. I think this is a really cool hero ability just because it's a constant 3 damage. It's sort of like Blacktail, except Blacktail has the exception of if they have an attack on the top of their graveyard. So it's still really unique. I like this, and it goes with the whole explosive kind of archetype of like just damage to the face. So let's go to the combos. Body Morph is time and mechanic. So 0-3-3-3. Increase damage done to heroes by the corner, and then you take 1 damage to yourself. So when you play this on the first turn, since it's X, you don't deal damage to yourself. But following 3 turns, you take 1 damage, and then you buff all your damage by 3. Really strong. Plays really well with Gadex, especially since if you see Gadex's ability doesn't say it cannot be increased by damage. So you are able to body morph and use Gadex's ability to deal 6. So it's really, really powerful. Usually, hero abilities will say, like, deal 1 damage to an opponent. This cannot be increased by buffs, or, this damage cannot be increased. So, that text being omitted here is really, really powerful. Onto Contra Bubble, double mech and time. Damage done to yourself is instead heals, so you rotate this 1 step when you defend. Works well with Body Morph. Instead of Body Morph taking 1 damage on you, you heal for 1. Overall for the deck, not so much. There is very few self-inflicting damage cards, but Contra Bubble is still really good in the whole tech order because there is a lot of self-harm cards. And then rotating 1 step forward when you defend, so you need to use 2 defense to take this off the field. It's really, really good. Nitro Heal is just the classic 1 of each burst heal. Really, really good. See this in like, I want to say almost 90 to 100% of the tech decks because it's just so powerful. Smart Bomb is 1 of each, and then nothing, 16 damage to your target. So if you guys watch my other videos, I talk about like the bombs, like the slow rolling bombs. This is it, right? Like allows new players to understand like, okay, if I play this card, I do a burst of big damage and basically KO my opponent with it. So it's really nice. Also works well with, of course, Gadex. The first 2 corners don't deal damage, but you're able to use 1 of your actions to deal 3 damage. So if you use the first 2 actions to deal 3, that's 6. 6 plus 16 is 22. That's definitely more than 3/4 of every character's health. Like, it's so powerful. But then again, it is the push and pull. Like, the person that you're playing against has to use board removal or, put up some kind of armor to make sure they don't get 1 shot. And then Nuke is the final card, double explosive, time, and mech. So, again, since Gadex is superior in explosive, they decided to give him the double explosive, and nothing 17. So just like Smart Bomb, except it has the additive effect of remove all buffs from your target. So if that person has 4 or 5 buffs, they just all get wiped out with the big nuke, and they take 17. So it's really, really nice. Onto like the other videos that I did, I'm gonna separate what the whole gimmick of this deck, which is robots, to the left side, and then to the right side are the other cards. So I'm gonna leave robots to the end of the video, and I'll just work on the other cards right now. So they have robots here, and they also have mechs. So I put mechs in the center. They're not really that important, but they are the other archetype that are inside this deck. So Leaking Generator, at the start of your turn, you deal 2 damage to your target, and you take 1. And then it's a persistent buff, so you see there's no corner, so this will constantly be applied at the beginning of each turn. And then Defendability, you heal for 2, and then you remove this buff. Works well with Contra Bubble, because again, Contra Bubble, any damage you deal for yourself, you heal. So basically, you do 2 damage to your target, and then you heal for 1 if you have Contra Bubble on the field, so it's a 3-point swing each turn. Really good. Leaking Generator is okay in this deck. It's a lot better in the self-inflicting decks that tech run, but it's still good. It still allows, if you just want a little bit of poking damage each turn, and it's a good card to introduce for new players. As per usual, the board clear, like the buff removal cards, Crazed Bombers here in 3. Crazed Bomber is the best board clear card in Lightseekers, or like buff removal card, because it removes 3. No other basic action removes more than 2. Some only remove 1. This guy removes 3, and then the downside is you remove 2 of your action buffs. The best way to play it, of course, is you just play it, remove your opponent's 3 buffs, and then you have no buffs on the field, so you don't take the negative effect from it. And it does say action buffs, so if you do have, say, like a nuke or a smart bomb on the field, these are combo buffs. They don't apply to Crazed Bomber, so he just jumps right over that step and just removes your regular action buffs. And then Tyrex Mercenary, the classic 5 damage card in Lightseekers. This is for the tech deck. Like, that's basically it. Onto mech. Tyrex Fixer, 4 healing, increased by 3 if you have less than 15 health. Just pretty straightforward. Burst 7 heal when you're down. Ramparts, reduce damage received by 2 on each corner for 3 corners, and then deal 1 damage to your attacker if you get attacked. So how this works is, if they have a buff on the field and it deals damage to you, you reduce that damage, but you don't deal 1 damage back because they're not attacking you. It only does the 1 damage to your opponent if they play a card that says the attack right here. Like on the bottom of the card, if it says attack, then that's when it applies. Really good, straightforward. A little bit weaker than most of the other orders, like armor cards, but still perfectly fun. Onto time. We have right here is Blast Field Battery. Take 1 damage and then move 3 tech cards from your hand to your deck, and then draw for each card removed +2. So if you want to see how many time cards, we have 8. 8 is okay. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's tech. So it's literally any card. Oh. Wow. Okay, wait, I was misreading this card completely. So you could literally move basically any card in your deck, or basically any card outside of the 2 unaligned cards. Put them back in your deck, and then you draw +2, and then whatever, X is the number of cards you return, +2. So this card's really good. Oh, wow, I was misreading this. I thought this had time. Yeah, that card is really good. So I'm surprised they didn't put this as, the key card, because maybe not in this deck so much. You do take 1 damage, but that's whatever. Like, it gets mitigated by a lot of stuff. Like, you can use Ramparts, you can use Contra Bubble. And then you just have a draw engine. Really good. You throw back whatever 3 or 4, like, mediocre cards, or you want to put back your combos. Like, you just put them back in your deck. And you draw, whatever, up to 4 or 5 cards. Really, really strong. Time Worm is next card. It's, nothing and then 1. Remove the last discarded combo card from your hand. It's supposed to have a burn keyword here because they updated Time Worm to have burn. So it's literally the last discarded combo card. Even if you didn't play that combo card, whatever is the top most discarded combo buff in your grave goes right back to your hand. Really good if you, great way to like cheat Nitro Heal if you're playing against an aggro matchup. You Nitro Heal real quick, pop it in the graveyard, and then throw down the Time Worm. Your opponent, from what I've played with a lot of tech, Time Worm doesn't really get removed that much because they're just like, oh, it's whatever. Like, it's just another stepping stone that they have to do. But with Nitro Heal, that's 26 healing that they have to go through, so it's a real chunky boy that you have to go deal with. Chronomoth is the last time card. 3 damage, draw 1 card. It's really straightforward. Time card is just... It's just kind of like a deck filler sort of thing. It's like... I wish they gave something else, but it's nice. And then we'll go on to... Ooh, that zoom in's crazy. We'll go on to the big boys. Robots. So robots are the big gimmick of this deck. Of course, with the name, what is it? Robot Rampage. Bombling, next time you attack, you deal corner damage to the recipient. So it's clunky, nothing. And then goes into 6. So, really, really nice. Basically, it's like a ticking time bomb again. Like, Tech's Health, they have a lot of bomb synergy stuff. And an explosive, so it works well. You can keep it on the field for as long as you want. And then, most likely, you want to play it with the Tyrex Mercenary. It's 5 damage plus 6, so it's a big burst of 11 damage if they have no armor. Really, really strong. Scatterbot is one of the new Kindred cards. First and third corner deals damage to target, and your second and fourth corner, you take that damage. So, overall, if this card fully rotates, your opponent takes 7 and you take 3. Again, it could get negated by Contra Bubble, or it could get negated by Ramparts, so it's really nice. And I love this, like, the flavor of it, because it's just a Scatterbot, so it's literally, like, 360 shooting all over the place. He's, like, not caring who he hits, so it's really, really funny. Onto Repairbot. Repairbot is a mech card. Healing on each corner, total of 8 healing. I think this is the most healing we've ever had in a starter deck, Kindred or Standard. Like, it's 2 copies of Repairbot, so it's 16 healing, and then there's also Tyrex Fixer. So Tyrex Fixer is 7 healing if you want to get, like, if you're under 15, 4 healing if you're not. So it's a lot of healing. Like, this deck has a lot of sustainability. Really, really nice. Unstable Scavenger is first corner is defendability. You draw cards, so you draw 3 cards. And then corners 2 and 3, reduce damage received by. And then corner 4, you take 5 damage. So this card is really... There's a lot to go with it. So when you play it, it doesn't rotate until you use the defendability. So you can just keep it on the field, and then when you feel that you need more draw power, you can use that ability to draw 3 cards. You can also play that, draw 3 cards, and then save those 3 cards are kind of mediocre. You blast Field Battery, put those 3 cards back, and then you draw 5. You know, both your actions are done for the turn, but you still get a really big swing. Again, the corner 2 and 3 reduce damage by 2, so it's sort of like a pseudo Ramparts. So you have a lot of, you know, just armor. And then corner 4, you take 5 damage. Again, Contra Bubble, you can heal for 5. I don't think the downside of take 5 damage is super that big in this deck, because you can just swarm the field with a lot of stuff. Next tech card, or mech card, is Robot Factory. When you play a robot, you gain an additional action. So it's corner 1 is normal X, and then corners 2, 3, and 4 are clunky. So how it works is when you play a combo, or when you play a robot card, you gain an additional action, and the card rotates. So it's sort of like Chimchu Commander in a sense of when you play a family card, you gain additional action. But this one is, you can choose when you want this to give you the additional action, unlike Chimchu Commander, which is when it's on that active corner, you must play a Chimchu and get the additional action, or it'll rotate out and you won't get that. So this card's really nice. Again, if you want to see how many robots, you can scroll up. There's 12 robots in total. So you can definitely get some crazy, nutty, like maybe 3-4 robot turns. So it's really, really nice. And it plays well with just the whole swarming the field with a lot of buffs, or, you know, getting a bombling off and the next turn putting another bombling, and then just swarming with a lot of damage. Onto time, C25 Combat Warper is return one of your action buffs, or return 1 action buff to the recipient's hand and deal 3 damage. So it's not, you can't return one of your buffs, it's an attack, so you have to hit your opponent. So you return one of their buffs, some kind of pesky, maybe like armor card that's blocking 3 armor or 3 damage. You pop it back in their hand and they take 3 damage. You can also maybe put it on a draw card that they have. You can't do it on any other combo buffs because it says action buff. So that kind of stinks, but still really nice to force something like, say, a mage ship or a Dawnstalker back to their hand right before it's about to tick off. Or maybe something like maybe like a Draga Scorcher, something maybe like a Prism Cannon, some sort of like crazy draw engine like Astronomer. It's really, really cool. Clockwork Construct is like, I want to say the weirdest card in this deck. I think one of the weirder cards in time, and it's cool that they gave double rare for it. Swap a buff for a discarded buff action card. So what it means is you literally trade a buff on the field with something in the discard. So the best option to do it is with Unstable Scavenger, right? Corner 1, you draw. Corner 2, you take armor. Corner 3, you take armor. And then before corner 4 is about to work, right, on the third corner here, you would want to probably play Clockwork Construct, swap this so you don't take the 5 damage, and maybe put something, I don't know, like another Bombling on the field. That way, following turn, just blow someone up with a big 6 damage swing again. So it's really, really unique. I think there was a copy of this in the original tech deck. I might be wrong, but it's very interesting that, because there isn't very much graveyard manipulation in Lightseekers, so having something like that in the tech is really nice. And it's a robot too, so you can definitely Robot Factory with it. So you have Robot Factory, play Clockwork Construct after, like, as action 1, and then you still have 2 more actions, so you're able to do something like even nuttier. Overall, I think this is probably one of the more fun decks. There's a lot of weird stuff. Oh, I forgot to talk about the Unalign. Unalign, as usual, with everything. We got the Barkeep. You know, he's always here, always staying late. And then Shield Wall is one of the new ones. So it's reduced damage received from attacks by corner. And it's clunky corner. So I think this is one of Kindred's best cards to side deck against aggro decks, because it's total of 12 damage you defend from, and it just ramps up. Like, the shield wall gets bigger and bigger the more like attacks you take. So first attack gets reduced by 1, then 2, then 3, then 6. And again, it's only from attack. So if a person has like a Draga Scorcher and it rotates, deals 6 to you, this buff doesn't rotate, and you don't reduce any damage. Only from stuff that say attack or combo attack, then you get to reduce that damage. Again, I think this deck is super fun. I think there's a lot of nuttiness with it. You don't really have to ever feel like you're not going to deal damage. You have so much damage from like Scatterbot, Bombling, Tarek's Mercenary, even stuff like Combat Warper. You probably don't want to deal for damage, but you can. And you have Gadek's ability. The fun thing with Gadex too is he has relatively cheap combos. Again, like, you could just Body Morph. Having Body Morph on the field just increases his ability power, plus like other cards damage output. So it's like really, really strong and unique. I think this deck is super interesting, and if you are thinking of picking up one of the decks, I do think Gadex is like the one to do. Tech is definitely not my favorite order, but I think, like, I'm having so much fun with this deck. I really do think this deck is super enjoyable. So thank you guys for watching part 5. Next part is going to be Insect, or Nature. It's called Insect. Like, that's the whole gimmick of it. So that's going to be the next one. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe I'm thinking of doing videos talking about how to make the decks better, like what cards to add and what cards to take out, but I'm not sure yet. Thank you again, guys, for watching, and take care.